Starting today, a Dr. Phil 2-day event.
The anatomy of an abduction.
Two sisters taken to a third world jungle and kept hidden by their own father.
I just want my babies back.
Now, the dramatic, heart-stopping rescue.
We have to take our chances crossing the border.
As Dr. Phil goes face-to-face with the father who took them.
She wants him to prosecute me.
Why he ran, how he ran.
I'm telling you, I'm not going to tell you. My preference would be for the camera to be turned off.
I am choosing to videotape this. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6.
If you're going to talk to me, you're going to have to be honest.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Showtime. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A and roll A. Check in. Go, Dr. Phil.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, as you know, I have made it my mission this year to put the spotlight on missing children, to not only tell their stories, but to actively search and find these kids who were ripped from their homes. In the real world, it is not always a happy ending. Well, today we're going to take you on an incredible journey as we search for two missing girls, Allene, 13, and Mollie, 15, who were abducted by their father a year ago. The search is filled with incredible drama, traveling thousands of miles away from the U.S. through the jungles of a third world country. It took us inside a deeply religious world where the members live as if they were back in time. Girls in bonnets and long dresses, transportation by horse and buggy, and no electricity or running water. It is a world where people live as if they are in the 1800s. Will this global search lead us to find these two kidnapped children? Who has them? And more disturbingly, for what purpose? Wait and see. But first, their mother, Michelle, was on the show a couple of weeks ago, desperate for our help to find her children. Take a look.
My daughters were abducted by their father, my ex-husband, Michael, on March 28th, 2005. Now Michael is a federal fugitive of the law and he faces child abduction charges.
We probably have underestimated him and what Michael is really capable of. I'm just so scared. I don't want to see him again.
You missed these children terribly, and you had no indication that he was going to take them and run.
No, I didn't. Michael would get angry if he didn't think I was living up to the expectations of a wife. He'd started to pursue his religious calling to a purer way of life. We moved into a 1969 trailer in the woods. We had no running water, electricity, or indoor plumbing. Our toilet was a 5-gallon bucket with a toilet lid. Michael would threaten to take our daughters and go into the underground, tell me I would never see him again. I thought, I can't do this anymore, so I got a divorce. Michael and I went through a custody evaluation, and the psychologist found it for Michael.
For the court to award custody to Michael over you is a bold move. Tell me your explanation of why that happened.
My husband brought up things that had happened before we even met.
You were evaluated by the court-appointed professionals,
right,
and they indicated that you had evidenced psychotic behavior, that you had heard demons and voices in the past, and that you acknowledged that.
They had that in the report, but it was never asked of me.
Okay,
it's what he said.
Okay, is it true or is it false?
It's false. When Mollie turned 13, she decided to join Michael's church. After 3 months of not seeing my daughter, I demanded regular visitation. My daughters started to confide in me that they were terrified of their father.
Mollie told me right before they disappeared, she said, "Mom, I need an out." And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "I need to know that I can say I've changed my mind and I won't have to stay with my dad and see his anger."
We believe he may be hiding at a religious colony run by a group called the Hutterites.
Former FBI private investigator Harold Kopus got on this case right away.
Well, the lieutenant has agreed to take me out to where Michael Harry and his girls were living just prior to Michael's abduction of his daughters. Apparently got some of his church buddies and they donated bales of hay, and he took this mud or insulation and put it on the outside. Does this have running water?
It had a hose run.
How about electricity? Toilet?
Outhouse.
Outhouse.
The group that Michael Harry may have joined is called the Elmendorf Colony. Peter Hoover is a fellow who Michael Harry considers a friend. He's become the de facto leader of the colony. Wherever there's trouble, you'll find Peter Hoover in the middle of it.
All clues lead to a religious group called the Hutterites, and in particular, one of their leaders, Peter Hoover. Take a look as we go inside the Elmendorf compound where Peter and a small sect of Hutterites live.
The sign says Elmendorf, which is what we're looking for.
We're looking for Peter Hoover. He may be the key to where Mike and the girls are located.
We're totally isolated now. Hello.
Yes, this is Peter. He told me at that time that he is thinking of maybe taking them to somewhere else, that she won't know where they're at. I told him, well, if that's what you have to do, you'll have to do it. That's actually what I told him, so, for as strange as that may sound.
Well, my jaw dropped.
And I can imagine that from your perspective, all this would sound somewhat strange, but we would do it a million times. If we would feel that the law gets in the way of us following Christ, of course that's what we would do.
Let me just ask you straight up, you know where Michael is, don't you?
I have a general idea how to contact him, but I don't know exactly where he is.
You can find him if you want to find him, true?
I could contact people that probably could. I was under the impression that the girls felt that when they were back to your house for visitation, that they were under considerable pressure. Mollie felt she was under pressure to maybe not wear her brethren clothes and maybe put on jewelry and things of this nature, which she felt uncomfortable with. She is going to have to guarantee that if these kids come out, that she will let them live the way they want to do.
But let me say, she doesn't have to guarantee anything. These are her children, and she doesn't owe an explanation to his church or to anyone else. What I know is I'm not going away. I intend to find these girls. I intend to do it lawfully. I intend to do it peacefully. And I intend to let everybody have a voice in what's going to happen here to the extent that I can influence these matters. After 2 weeks of emails between Harold and religious leader Peter Hoover, clues led our team to the country of Belize.
We're now in Belize City. A lot of leads have come in. Peter Hoover has information that Mike and the girls could be in the country of Belize. We think he's in one of the Mennonite communities here. There's several of them. Hey, Peter, I think we've got some great leads.
Yeah, we're looking at a couple of places tomorrow.
We still don't have any real assurances that Mike is here. We think so, but we know there could be one of 3 communities. Well, this is day 2, and we're going to meet some Mennonites, and hopefully these people will give us some information about Mike Harry, if he's been in the area. Maybe we'll get some good news. We're about to meet with Ben Stoltzis, who is a Mennonite missionary. He is instrumental in getting the initial communication to Mike Harry.
This is Harold here, Harold Kopus.
I'm Ben. Hey, Ben, it is. I've heard about you. It's good seeing
He's the
you.
guy that's been passing on the messages down to Barton Creek. He, of course, has a telephone, so I talked with him. And the next morning, I guess you went out and stopped somebody on the road, on the wagon.
Yeah, there was one coming down. I just stopped him and told him I have a letter from Mike Harry.
And they delivered it?
Yeah, apparently they did.
Well, apparently they did, yeah. Now, what are we doing now on the travel?
We'll stop at the Hummingbird Mission on the way down. I'd like to get there before the sun goes down.
Okay.
And then from there, I'd like to go to Nathan Stutzman's place.
We're into Barton Creek. Apparently, this is the community that Mike may have stayed in when he first came to this area. Well, nothing's ever easy. Peter's talking to some more folks. They're very suspicious of anyone who speaks English. He's speaking a language that only the Mennonites speak.
Dan har ik het aardig afgevoerd. Ik dacht dat Pine Hill dat weer van Upper Barton Creek is.
No, dat is van ons.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ik ga doen een nicht wonen.
So Peter's having to pave the way for us to have our next meeting. And we're just patiently waiting for Peter to do his work so that we can go in and meet the right people. When was Mike here?
He didn't stay long here, just a night or two.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's good meeting you. It was productive. It's meeting these guys. Mike apparently was here 6 or 7 months or so ago. We have good reason to believe now that Mike and the girls are in this very remote community in southern Belize. We're heading south on a highway. It's going to take us to Punta Gorda, about 3 or 4 hours in the jungle. So we're getting deeper into this interior of this country each day.
Coming up, do these clues lead us to Mike and the girls? You're going to find out when we come back.
I'm gonna have to go upstairs with these guys. We're gonna enter some fairly tense negotiations where we're not gonna be able to bring cameras in because it's against their religious beliefs. Where are the girls?
They're around, but I'm not going to return them to their mother.
We're talking about missing children today. Last year, Michael Harry abducted his 2 teenage daughters. 2 weeks ago, his ex-wife Michelle contacted me desperate for help. We put private investigator Harold Kopis on the trail, and the clues led us to the country of Belize. Harold traveled with Peter Hoover, a person with whom Michael Harry had had contact. Peter brought Harold and our crew to the southern tip of Belize, where they confirmed Michael was on the run, hiding with the girls among a religious group called the Mennonites. They lived in a colony called Pine Hill outside the village of Punta Gorda in the Belizean jungle. It was in Punta Gorda where Harold met with Michael and the elders of his colony to begin to negotiate Michael and the girls' return.
We've now confirmed that Mike and the girls are living in the Pine Hill community, so we're about to meet with him and the Mennonite elders. Hello? Okay, here's what's happening. I'm gonna have to go upstairs with these guys. We're gonna enter some period of fairly tense negotiations where we're not gonna be able to bring cameras in because it's against their religious beliefs. Where are the girls?
They're around, but I'm not going to return them to their mother. Well, what's going to happen if Michelle calls the police?
Trust me, Mike, that isn't gonna happen. We could get the girls to Elmendorf if we had to. We've got options.
Suppose I go back with the children. I've never gone through an airport customs, but I suppose it's just like the border. And it comes back, well, if I've got a warrant, but then if you've got a paper from the embassy, maybe that takes care of that. I don't know.
I'll solve any problem. I guess what I'm saying to you, Mike, you're in the driver's seat.
But we need in writing from her that it's all right for the girls to stay somewhere, not with either one of us until the legal situation is worked out. Right?
I don't know that I can get that paper today, but I do have this letter from Michelle. And it says, I will not interfere in Mollie and Allene's choice of religion, choice of dress, and I will not in their choice in regards to their use of makeup, jewelry, or hairstyle.
We can all meet with Dr. McGraw. He's not on your side and he's not on Michelle's side. He's on your daughter's side. And he sent us here to help them.
When Mike first walked in, candidly, I felt relieved because I realized I had crossed the first hurdle of meeting him. This journey has taken us through 4 or 5 states, 3 countries, and now I'm in the jungle. So one's relief. Second is having him tell me that he's willing to go back with the girls this evening to the United States. I feel elated that we've been able to pull something off for Dr. Phil.
Now, Michael and the girls were living in a very conservative sect of the Mennonites. There's no running water, no electricity, and the mode of transportation is horse and buggy. It is, again, very rare for us to have any footage of this lifestyle, as they shun all modern conveniences, especially television and radio, and certainly cameras. This is a colony where there is no schooling past the 8th grade. The women's primary job is to cook and clean and take care of the family and children. They learn to can and sew by hand. They churn their own butter and they make their own cheese. They make their own soap and they tend to the small farm animals. The men either work on the farm where the fields are plowed by horse-driven plows and harvested by hand, or the men work on the horse-driven sawmill where they turn the lumber they harvest by hand from the jungle into wood for homes and furniture. They also work 700 head of cattle and other livestock that they sell along with their crops for money to the locals of the country of Belize. Their world takes you back to a life of the early 1800s. It's like literally walking back in time. This is how the girls have been living since being abducted by their dad and leaving the modern conveniences of the United States.
Now that the negotiations are over, the Mennonites have invited us inside their house so we can see their way of life and eat a meal with them.
My wife and I also speak the 2 languages. Their children speak the 2 languages very well.
We're now off to see where Mike and his girls have been living in the last 6 months or so.
The Belizean houses don't have double thick walls, they've just got single thickness of boards, and there's 2 reasons for that. One is that you want as much breeze to come through as possible when it's hot. And the other one is that the place is just packed with termites.
This is where you and the girls resided?
Yeah, they can, and they bake, and they know how to make sauerkraut and cheese and all kinds of things.
Your girls, are they learning German right now?
Yeah. And that's our sheep there and our lamb. Just got a lamb born yesterday.
The entire community is meeting Mike and the girls to tell them goodbye. We've not yet met the girls, but we're about to see them now for the first time. You're talking close to 100 people are gathering. This will be a very emotional goodbye for the girls and for Mike. It's about 6:30 in the morning. We've been going for about 2.5 hours of driving. Had a couple hours sleep last night. The girls and Mike are in the car right in front of me. They seem to be in excellent spirits. Mike is very passive. Mike did not enter Belize legally, so we're on our way to Blue Creek, which is a Mennonite community on the Mexican border. This is where Mike and the girls first came from the States. Mike will go back into Mexico. We'll fly with him from Mexico to Miami, Florida. I called the chief of police in Gibson City, Chris Decker, and I asked him to clear Mike and the girls out of NCIC so we could enter Miami without Mike being arrested, and I would bring him straight to Illinois. We're now in Blue Creek.
The border crossing is not manned. A lot of places aren't manned most of the time, and so it's just a free-for-all. We'll see if we can find a boat to take us across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 personas.
Mike and the girls have just put all their stuff inside a boat and they're heading across the creek. Hope they'll be able to enter Mexico and then we can catch the flight back to the States. I can't see, I can't tell, but it doesn't look good. This is not good.
Michael has no passport, no picture ID. As you just saw, they were stopped at the border by the Mexican authorities as they were trying to cross the river by canoe. Now remember, Michael brought the girls into Belize illegally. Now, will they make it out? Find out when we come back.
I'm really concerned about getting Mike out of the country. He has no passport. He has an ID without a picture.
What is this?
It's citizenship papers.
You don't have?
No, I don't have U.S. passport.
We're talking about putting the spotlight on missing children today, and we've done more than that. we have actually embarked on a rescue mission trying to recover 2 teenage girls who were abducted by their father a year ago. Clues led us to the country of Belize, where they were living as though it was the early 1800s in a very conservative Mennonite colony. But finding them was only half the battle. Now we still have to get them home safely.
This is not good. I see them coming back from the Mexican authorities. I don't know what's going on. Looks like we may have to go to Plan B and take our chances crossing the border to another place.
We're heading north toward the official border crossing, which will lead us straight to the airport.
I'm really concerned about getting Mike out of the country. He has no passport. He has an ID without a picture, and his birth certificate's in German.
We're just about to cross the Rio Hondo, which is the border now between Belize and Mexico.
What is this? It's a citizenship paper. No, I don't have a U.S. passport. This is my notarized statement of United States citizenship. This is my United States ID card. See?
This is a tense situation because these border guards are hesitant about letting Mike into Mexico.
It looks like we're okay. I think it's about another 15 minutes or so to the airport.
We just heard from the crew on their satellite phone, and apparently the trip through Belize, which has been very dramatic, has been successful, and we've been able to get them into Mexico at this point. So the idea now is to get into Miami and sit down with Mike and these 2 girls. I have no idea what I'm going to find, but it's time for him to face the music and answer some questions here. So we're on the move.
We finally got Mike with his papers. We're heading toward Miami. It's not a given. We still have a few more hurdles to jump, but I think we're close.
We're in Miami, Florida. We've cleared customs.
I'm worried that Michelle's not going to go along with what she's agreed to, and she'll take the girls and run off with them and go to the big city school, and there won't be much we can do about it.
Well, it's time for things to come to a head. Obviously, there has been an amazing journey taking place through Belize, Mexico, dealing with customs, immigration, all the issues that you have to deal with when you're an international fugitive. But now I'm going to sit down with Michael, and I've got questions to ask him. What we're getting ready to do is create the anatomy of an abduction. I want to know why he ran, how he ran, where he ran, and I want to know what has been the experience of these girls since then, and I want to know what he thinks is going to happen now. Michael.
Hello. How are you?
Phil McGraw, how are you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Have a seat. You've been on quite a journey.
Yes.
Tell me what you understand about this conversation that you and I are going to have.
Well, basically, I've been willing to come and talk to you, but our church doesn't believe in television. As far as the videotaping goes, my preference would be for the camera to be turned off.
All right, and I appreciate that, and you fully understand that it is my responsibility and that I am choosing to videotape this.
I'm opposed to it.
But you understand that I'm doing it and that I intend to use that videotape to try and help educate people in this country about family dynamics. Why did you run to begin with?
I had custody of the children as a result of a custody fight after my wife left our home in 2000. So the children came to live with me, and they were a good part of our German Baptist community. In the fall of 2004, we decided to homeschool both children. They told their mother on one of their weekend visitations, and she got very upset about it.
Let me understand, you did not want the girls to go to school beyond the 8th grade?
That's right, yes.
Why?
Well, traditionally, our church doesn't believe in higher education. We don't want to see people growing up and being exposed to the bad influences in the school.
I guess the thing that I'm trying to square up in my mind, you talk about being very respectful of beliefs and positions of your church. Did it concern you at all that you were virtually kidnapping your children?
Well, no, I wasn't kidnapping them. I had custody of the children when I left the country.
There's a federal warrant for your arrest that was issued when you left.
Yes, there was.
Did you think you were in violation or you didn't?
I would be glad to explain that.
Please.
I went to my attorney. He said, if you don't obey the judge, he will eventually take custody away from you. And so rather than run that risk of having my children placed in a home where they were uncomfortable.
You feared for their safety.
Absolutely.
As well as their influence, their spiritual safety, their physical safety.
Yes, and you have to understand that I lived with Michelle for 10 years. I saw the outcome of her mental illness. You know, I've had pistols pointed at me and knives, and what she does in her relationships would just be terribly destructive to them.
Was there something you were afraid was going to come out in that hearing?
No, but I certainly was going to have to tell the judge that I was going to disobey him. And when I told him that, he would have locked me in jail.
Next, my interview with Michael continues. Find out what he told the girls about why they were leaving and what he told me about their mother, Michelle.
I won't say anything about anyone who helped me as far as identifying them.
Well, that's really odd because you talk about being so much about truth. You will lie by omission.
No, I'm telling you, I'm not going to tell you.
It was a year ago that Michael Harry abducted his two daughters. After his wife, Michelle, asked for our help, we put private investigator Harold Copas on the case. Clues led Harold to the country of Belize, where Michael and the girls were hiding, living in a Mennonite colony. Our investigators successfully brought the girls and Michael back to the States. As you saw earlier, when they arrived on American soil in Miami, I met with Michael right away. Listen to what he told me about how he ended up in Belize. When you left, where did you go?
We went and visited my family in Texas. We crossed into Mexico.
You made contact with Ed, who Peter had connected you with.
I won't say anything about anyone who helped me as far as identifying them.
But that's really odd because you talk about being so much about truth. You will lie by omission?
No, I'm telling you, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. That just seems kind of inconsistent.
No, absolutely not.
Did you have to forge documents to get across the border into Mexico?
We didn't forge any documents. I just went to the library and I typed up, I think, notarized statement of citizenship. That's what Mexico requires if you have basically nothing else.
How did you get into Belize?
Well, we had to cross the border illegally to enter Belize.
That seems like breaking another international law.
Yes, that's true. It is breaking the law.
How do you feel about that?
We were refugees. We were fleeing persecution, and we go where we can find shelter. Jesus told us, if you are persecuted in one city, flee to another.
What'd you tell the girls?
Well, I told them we were going to stay for 3 or 4 months, and we were going to see what happened.
How'd they feel about that?
They weren't happy that they were leaving their home behind, but they were uncomfortable with the situation back home anyway.
What were they upset with about their mother?
Well, when Mollie was baptized, her mother told Mollie that she could no longer be seen in public with her, that if she was, she'd be fired from her job, and that was devastating to Mollie.
Tell me why you decided to come back.
I was very skeptical of it. My wife, I didn't really believe that she could be interested in resolving something this way. But I came back because this is a good opportunity for us to work this thing out with someone who's impartial.
What will happen to your children if you go to jail?
Well, the children have said that they would like to stay with the Elmendorf community there, or they would like to go to Indiana and stay with the German Baptist community there.
And how do they feel about staying with their mother?
Absolutely not.
They just have no interest in doing that?
No, they want to spend time with her, very much, but they don't want to have long visits anymore. They can have a meal out, they can go to some wholesome entertainment together, but if they spend a day or 2 or 3 there, that's when the trouble starts. That's when she can't hold it together.
Of course, your hope is that you won't be separated from the girls and that you won't have to be incarcerated in that way.
Well, certainly I'm going to go to a hearing and they're going to set bond, and hopefully I'll be able to meet the bond and I'll be back out again right away. I have returned, 3,500 miles, so I can hardly see that they would view me as being some kind of flight risk now.
Well, best predictor of future behavior is past behavior.
Well, that's
and
true.
If they look at it and say, he's already demonstrated the ability to run.
But you see, I didn't run because I thought I was going to be put in jail. I ran for the good of my children. And this...
As you see it.
Well, that's all anyone has is the way they see it.
And the court may disagree.
It might be the way they see it.
And you fully understand that there are those in this country that think you have absolutely disrespected your children's mother, violated her rights, and taken it upon yourself to abduct these children.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure there's people who feel that way.
And it certainly seems to lack compassion for Michelle.
Well, but as a parent, we're not responsible for the well-being of our spouse in that way. We have to put the children first. If she's doing something that's damaging the children, the only way that I can intervene there is to remove the children from her. Then it's not me who's responsible for what happened.
Well, actually, you are responsible for abducting the children and taking them out of the country. You're responsible for that decision, correct?
Yes, it is. That's my decision.
Coming up, I met with Allene and Mollie alone. I wanted to know what was going on inside their heads. How did they feel about their father abducting them, leaving Belize, and possibly going back to live with their mother? We'll find out. Did you question, why are we doing this? Dad, what are you doing? We're breaking the law.
We understood why, so we didn't ask a lot because we understood.
What was the problem that your dad said, we've got to go, we've got to run? Today, we have gone on an incredible journey, the rescue mission of 2 teenage girls abducted by their father a year ago. Allene and Mollie were living in the country of Belize with their father in a very conservative Mennonite community. There was no electricity, and they had only horse and buggy as transportation and no school past the 8th grade. After meeting with their father, Michael, when they arrived in Miami, I met with the girls alone. Come in. You must be Allene. Well, good to meet you. How are you, Mollie?
Yep.
Good to meet you. What do you understand about me and who I am and why I'm here and why we're talking?
You're here to help get this resolved so that we don't have Dad going to jail.
Well, my number one goal is to make sure that you guys are okay. Yeah. What we know is a year ago you were scheduled to go see your mom and have visitation with her, and instead of taking you there, your dad decided, I'm not going to do that, and then you crossed into Mexico, from there to Belize, which means nobody's seen or heard from you for a year. And so people have wondered, are you alive? Are you dead? Are you safe? Are you hurt? How has life been?
Pretty good. I mean, except for not seeing Mom, I've been happy.
Have you felt like you were hiding?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we kind of felt like we were hiding, but we were out in the open all the time and weren't ever hidden.
Did you question, why are we doing this? Dad, what are you doing? We're breaking the law. Did you question any of that?
We understood why, so we didn't ask a lot because we understood.
What was the problem that your dad said, we've got to go, we've got to run?
High school, main thing, was the problem. And going to a psychiatrist who wouldn't understand the way we believe and the way we live.
Me and Mollie really didn't enjoy public school very much. It wasn't very nice there.
Were the kids mean to you?
Some of them were really friendly, but we weren't used to having kids disrespect the teachers openly and not obey if a teacher told them to do something.
How do you feel about not being allowed to go to school? Because your face says after the 8th grade, it's not a good idea to continue on, your dad was explaining to me.
Yeah.
Do you miss that?
Actually, no, because we don't prohibit learning. Going to school and getting graded is one thing, but I can still learn about history and whatever I want still. The reason why we don't allow high school really is because of the environment that is involved.
How do y'all get along with your dad?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very close.
Were you ever mad at your dad for taking your mother out of your life?
Actually, yeah, we were.
I wasn't.
I was upset a little bit.
Did you ever tell him, Dad, you know, we miss Mom, this isn't the best thing?
I did.
What did he say?
He said, I'm trying to protect you.
But he also said that if we really want to go back right now, he always said that we could, and he would try to do it.
Did you want to leave when you left?
We were starting to feel uncomfortable. We were starting to feel pressure. My mom, the way she lives and the way that I had decided to live, they don't work together very well. They clash a lot. And I wanted to make her happy. And so what I was doing was not making myself happy.
Was your mother trying to pull you into the other world? Normal, as you say, the typical American teenager?
Yeah.
Was she buying you those average teenager kind of clothes and wanting you to wear those?
Yes.
Did she buy you jewelry and want you to wear it?
Yeah. She thought that would make me happy. And at that time, I thought so too. But to be quite truthful, the way now, this makes me happy. It makes me be me.
Once you hear about the conservative world and you understand it well, you're not going to just go, oh, well, I don't think I'll wear a covering anymore because I'm just going to ignore that scripture. It's not very easy to ignore once you've read it.
What do you want to see happen in your life at this point? You know, there is the possibility that your dad could go to jail, but if the court says that your mother has custody, what then?
Well, we would want to live with a plain family and visit Mom.
Yeah, we would rather stay over, you know, with a brother, and, you know, that would be much nicer for us.
How would you feel about living with your mother?
Right now, the way we have decided to live really wouldn't fit with Mom's lifestyle, to be quite honest. Television and movies are things that we don't like to have anything to do with. And Mom doesn't see anything wrong with that.
Our lifestyle and hers is so much different, and her beliefs and our beliefs are so much different. We could be faithful, but it would be hard and it would be somewhat uncomfortable.
Next, my private meeting with the girl's mother, Michelle. Find out what she wants to see happen to Michael and how she feels about seeing the girls for the first time in a year. Michelle came to me just 2 weeks ago asking for help to find her two daughters who were abducted by their father. After putting private investigator Harold Kopis on the case, we tracked them to the country of Belize, and through the grace of God, we're able to bring them home. I met them all as they arrived on American soil in Miami, and now I needed to meet with their mother, Michelle. How are you? You doing all right?
As well as can be expected.
Well, tell me what that means.
I'm very nervous. I'm scared. I'm a little bit angry because I know the warrants have been dropped.
Why are you angry about the warrants being dropped?
I want my daughters protected. I want to know that when I get custody of them, I don't have to worry that my ex-husband's going to do something like this again.
I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to tell you what my understanding is.
Okay.
A warrant being dropped doesn't mean a dismissal of the charges. It just means that there is not an arrest order the first time a law enforcement or government official comes into contact with your husband. What I know is this: he was in Belize illegally.
Okay.
And to get him out of Belize, he had to come out legally.
Okay.
And when you go to get somebody out legally and there's outstanding arrest warrants, you can't move him. He's arrested and he's locked in down there. Then what happens to the girls? My edict to them was, I want him and those girls back here where you have access to your daughters.
Oh, and I appreciate that.
I've talked to Michael. He is unapologetic. He's just saying, I did what I think I had to do to protect my daughters. I think he understands that he may well be incarcerated, but you know, he's in hopes that he won't be. Do you intend to prosecute him?
Yes, I do.
What's your primary concern for these girls?
Probably the very first thing I'm going to do is take them to a doctor to have them completely checked so we can get a status on their medical well-being and take it a day at a time.
Are you at all concerned that going back to school they would be ridiculed, ostracized, and damaged mentally and emotionally by being so set apart from the rest of the school community?
I have access to private schools if we need to go that route. My only concern is their well-being, and in this day and age, you can't get very far without an education.
Are you afraid they've been brainwashed?
Yes, I am. I'm not brainwashed. I think they've been at least frightened.
You're back in Illinois, you're back home. What's the biggest challenge we've got to face first? Because I want to help with that.
If I need to make concessions to make them feel comfortable, my only concern is for their well-being.
Stand up if you would. I want you to see your babies. This drama is far, far from over. We'll be right back. we're not done here, not even close. Tune in tomorrow as the story continues with the much anticipated reunion between Michelle and her two girls, 13-year-old Allene and 15-year-old Mollie. Find out what the girls have to say to their mother after not seeing her for an entire year. I want you to see your babies.
Oh my God, it's okay.
I'm just really happy to have my girls home with me.
What happened to you? His head is like that big.
I don't think it's going to happen again.
I'm still not confident that you wouldn't run again.
She's broken her word. She's violated the agreement that she made. Now she wants them to prosecute me.
That and much more on tomorrow's show as we continue this very complicated story. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Roll on.